Hope you enjoyed listening to chapter 5, class 4, when we're now ready to move on to chapter 6. It's a much shorter chapter, so it won't take you as long to listen to me reading it, and it won't take you too much longer to answer the questions. It's another sheet of questions similar to what you had on Tuesday, and hopefully it'll be enough for you to watch this today, have a quick look at the questions, and then on tomorrow, on Friday, you can watch it again. You can read it yourself because I'll attach it to your email. The chapter 6 will be attached to the email. And then have a go and answer the questions, hand in your work on TeacherMate, and I'll give you some feedback and mark them on Friday. And we'll be back at school on Monday. Hope you're all well. So where did we leave it? Well, chapter 5 was left at the Little Rabbits. Podkin, Paz and Pook had visited their friend's warren where they had been invited in, and they started noticing it was all a bit strange. Things weren't quite as they normally were. And then gradually they realized that the Gorm had overtaken that warren too, and they had to flee. And as they were fleeing, Paz and Pook, they managed to get under the door, they ducked under, and then Podkin tried to slide under, and the portcullis slammed down on his ear, pinning him to the ground. And that's where we've left it. And if you're not sure what a portcullis is, here's what it is. It's those gates with the spikes on the end that protect the entrances to castles and things. So that's where Podkin's ear is currently pinned under one of those spikes. I think we're starting to realize now where Podkin one ear, how we managed to only have one ear. But we're not sure yet, but all we know is the ear's pinned under one of those spikes. Let's get back to the story. Chapter 6, One Ear. Paz heard the clang of the portcullis behind her and turned to see Podkin lying safely outside the warren. She felt a surge of relief, which quickly disappeared when she saw the look of agony on his face. Why isn't he getting up? Has he sprained his ankle? Has hurt his back? And then she saw the portcullis sprung, spearing his ear into the ground. That was when she screamed. She dashed to his side and took his hand. Oh, Pod, your ear. Her brother's eyes were bulging and his teeth were gnashing in pain. She realized he must be trying his hardest not to scream so that the Redwater rabbits would discover that they'd gone. The poor rabbit could hardly move his head. There was no way they could escape into the woods now. A voice came from back in the tunnel, somewhere in the dark. If only you hadn't run, none of this would have happened. As Paz watched, she saw a figure step towards the portcullis, closer to the light. It was Lady Russet. The gaunt Lady Russet, with cold, dead eyes. Let us go, my lady. You were always our friend, Paz said as she looked up to her. Don't let the Gorm take us. The living statue, they left has sensed that you are here. We have already sent the crow to tell them. By now it will have reached its masters, and it's calling them to come here. It's too late. How can you do this? Why would you help them? They're evil, Lady Russet. They killed our father. For a moment, there was something like pity in Lady Russet's eyes. Paz thought she might even have seen a tear before it trickled away into her fur. They killed my husband too, and all our guards and warriors. But they have my children, Rufus and Rusty. If I give them to you, if I give you to them, I might get them back. Paz was furious at this cowardly, spineless thing that the chieftain's wife had become. She jumped up and grabbed the bars of the portcullis, shouting down the tunnel at her. What would my father say if he saw you now? What would your husband say? Call yourself a rabbit? You're no better than a weasel. You You traitor! Lady Russet jumped backwards, eyes wide, vanishing into the shadows. It was a good few moments before she spoke again. And when she did, her voice was shaky and broken, as if she were trying to hold back from sobbing. It won't be long until they're here. Your brother's stuck. I won't free him. But if you are gone when they arrive, I will just tell them that Podkin came here on his own. You and the little one can escape. That's the best I can do. Ooh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Ooh, what would Paz do? She could escape with the little one, but she'd have to sacrifice the life of her brother. Ooh, what would you do? It's the only way, is it? Let's find out. And with that, Lady Russet was gone, back into the warren, leaving the little rabbits cold and frightened in the snow. You heard her, Podkin said eventually. You've got a chance to get away. Leave me here. Take Pook somewhere safe. Paz gritted her teeth, shook the portcullis bars. I am not leaving you here. There must be some way to get you free. Ah! Ah! Pook was wriggling around inside her tunic, squeaking in the top of his voice. What? Paz snapped at him. The crow's gone, Pook. Caw, caw. It's gone, Pook. There's no bird. Shh now. Stop shouting so I can try and think what to do. The baby rabbit gave a frustrated yell, and then started wriggling like mad, pushing the dagger out of Paz's robe where she had hidden it. It took her a moment to realize what Pook was doing. Of course. You're not saying caw like a crow, you're saying claw, Starclaw. You're a genius, Pook. Paz gave him a quick nuzzle, then dragged Starclaw out, ripping the cloth off as fast as she could. What do you think? Gonna work? Gonna be able to cut through the metal? Starclaw can Starclaw cut through metal? I can't remember. What do you think? Make this prediction. Do you think that the Starclaw is going to be able to get through the metal portcullis? Let's find out. Clang! She swung it hard against the portcullis, but nothing. She tried again and again, and nothing happened. Ah! Podkin moaned. The vibrations were like tiny explosions in his wounded ear. Stop it! Stop! Oh, whiskers! The gate's made of iron. The stupid dagger won't cut through it. How did they even get an iron gate? Unless the Gorm gave it to them. Paz cursed again and shoved the dagger into the snow. What was the point in having a magic weapon if you couldn't use it half the time? Podkin whimpered. His hands reaching up to his pinned ear. There must be some way to free him. Could she cut the stone off the floor and pull his ear down out of the stone? Maybe she could chip away and maybe release the portcullis by chipping away at the stone around the outside. Her question was answered by a horn blasting somewhere on the other side of the warren. They were here. They had hardly any time left at all. Go, Podkin said. Just go. No, Paz shook her head. There had to be some other way around it. Her little mind whirred quickly. She ticked off all the possibilities, but in the end, there was only one option. Pod? She gripped him by the hand and squeezed. This dagger, it can't cut through iron, it can't cut through stone, but it can cut through your ear. Paz gulped. Podkin gulped. The portcullis had stabbed his ear halfway down. You would have to lose nearly the whole thing. No, please don't. Please don't. Just leave me. Just leave me for the Gorm. They'll probably kill me though, won't they? You are the chieftain's son. You are the heir to the Warren now. They'll do to you what they did to father. Scramershank will wear his skull on your belt, on his belt. But it's my ear. I have to do it, Pod, and I have to do it now. There isn't much time. Podkin and Paz looked at each other. Finally, Podkin nodded. Paz pulled the dagger out of the snow. Inside her tunic, Pook squeaked and turned his eyes. Hang on, said Paz. Right, what do you think here? Last little bit before she cuts it off. Is there anything she can do to make the removal of his ear either a little bit less painful, or to stop it from getting infected, or just to make it a little bit less risky? What would you do if you were there? How could you make it a little bit less of a risky procedure? Have a prediction. Paz remembered a lesson about how spider webs could stop wounds bleeding. She stood on tiptoe and pulled a good handful of matted cobwebs from around the door, ignoring all the fat spiders that scurried over her fingers, feeling angry at having their winter sleep broken. She rubbed some ice onto Podkin's ear in snow. Then she lowered the dagger against Pod's ear. Will it hurt? He said. Hopefully the snow will have made it a bit numb, but it might. Paz remembered how the dagger had chopped through the tree trunk like it was made of butter. It might hurt, but it will definitely be quick. Then do it, said Podkin, closing his ears. Closing his eyes. And close his ears too, it's going to be chopped off. It was funny how he didn't feel anything at first. Not the slice, not the cobwebs, not the handfuls of snow. It was funny to be running off into the woods, leaving a part of his body behind. But the funniest thing of all was that even after his ear had been sliced off, he could still feel the pain of the spike stabbing it down. He felt a burning pain in his ear that was no longer there. Ooh. Chapter 6 is done. After this, we're going to get to an interlude where the bard who's telling Podkin's story is going to stop talking about them for a while, and he's going to take some questions from the little rabbits. So I want you guys now to pause this video and imagine you're the little rabbits. Listen to this story. You're in the Warren. It's like Christmas Eve. You're hearing the legend of Podkin. What questions would you ask the bard from now on?